What's up, YouTube? It's October 10th, 2023, and it's time for our WWE NXT recap and analysis. It's season 17 of NXT, episode number 41. In the description of this week's episode, we're reminded that Cody Rhodes has a huge announcement. John Cena will be in the corner of Carmelo Hayes versus Braun Breaker, and we have Roxanne Perez versus Asuka. We start off the episode with the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes speaks for 3 minutes in which he makes 3 big announcements. Number 1, at the conclusion of the women's breakout tournament, there will be a men's breakout tournament. Yawn. Number 2 is the one that I predicted last week. The Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic will continue. And number 3, Cody will be this week's special guest general manager. Just as Cody makes these announcements, out comes NXT champion Ilja Dragunov. Dragunov welcomes Cody to NXT, and he thanks him for breathing some excitement into NXT. And he also says that he wishes to push NXT into the future. He talks for 2 minutes, and out comes Dirty Dom and Rhea Ripley. And Dirty Dom says, of course, these people all came to see me, the North American champion. And he says, you want to talk about Cody Rhodes' energy level, huh? How about you ask him about his energy level every time the Judgment Day left him laying on the floor? Dragunov says, no one wants to hear you, Dom. And my father worked in a prison, and I know how to turn a barking dog into a little puppy. And Rhea says, Dom's been carrying WWE on his back this whole year. And how about you put that NXT championship on the line tonight? And Dragunov says, you know what, tonight's my 30th birthday, and as a gift to myself, I'm going to eat you alive tonight. Cody Rhodes makes the match official, but he says, you know what, I know how the Judgment Day works, and you guys like to play that numbers game, so we need a special referee to keep things in check. No, it's not me, it will be L.A. Knight, yeah! Just then, John Cena arrives to the building, and we're reminded once again how he will be in the corner of Carmelo Hayes tonight. He arrives in a Honda, and Booker T is laughing hysterically as he feels he should arrive in a Rolls Royce. No doubt the Honda sponsors are not happy with this comment. Next up, we have Roxanne Perez versus Asuka, and Shotzi will be at commentary. Shotzi announces that she had so much fun hosting Halloween Havoc last year that she and Scarlett will host this year's Halloween Havoc. This match goes on for 6 minutes, 15 seconds, until Asuka finishes off Perez with a knockout kick. And this continues Asuka's streak of never having lost a match in NXT. Asuka gives a little bow to Perez while Perez is on the floor, and this is supposed to be a sign of respect. I would expect Perez would have been on her feet during this sign of respect. But the reason for that was so Kiana James could come out and confront Perez while she lay on the floor. But Shotzi drops Kiana James with a knee lift and a perfect plex. Paul Heyman enters the building, and we're again reminded of the 2 big matches for tonight. One match will be Dominic Mysterio versus Dragunov for the NXT Championship. And the main event will be Carmelo Hayes versus Braun Breaker. Gallus is in the back, and they are preparing for the Pub Rules match. Butch and Bate are also ready with Ridge Holland. It's a Pub Rules match, which means there are no rules. We've got beer mugs, trash cans, kendo sticks. We've got bar stools, darts, and a fire extinguisher. We've got a bowling ball, tables, and a keg. This match goes for 12 minutes and ends with the Brutes powerbombing Coffee through the table. Now, just before that powerbomb, Bate was supposed to smash the beer mug into Coffee's head, but it noticeably crumbled right in his hand before he hit him. Vic Joseph really tried his best to sell this, and it just sounded very awkward because it was obvious that it never crashed into his head. This reminds me of when Cora Jade went to hit Roxanne Perez with the skateboard when they broke up, and the skateboard collapsed in her hand before it came anywhere near Perez. WWE's prop department really needs to get this figured out. Just then we're told that Becky Lynch's book is coming out, and you can pre-order it now. And we get a little build-up to her match with Valkyria at Halloween Havoc. Valkyria is backstage, but Tegan Nox interrupts the interview. She says, I came so close to beating Becky Lynch last night that your match will have to wait. Valkyria says, I've worked too hard and no one's going to get in the way of my match. John Cena is then seen roaming the halls, and he's up next. John Cena takes to the ring, and he says that NXT is not the future. NXT is right now. Just as the crowd does the thank you, Cena, there's a guy interjecting saying, Cena sucks. Cena says, I respect honesty and I respect your opinion. Cena talks for about 3 minutes and out comes Braun Breaker. Hoo, 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 hoo. The crowd does the Braun Breaker sucks to the John Cena song, and Cena really enjoys this. And of course, just like Dominic Mysterio said, Braun Breaker said the same. These people didn't come to see you. They came to see me. Just then, John Cena says, no, this is a teachable moment. And he extends his hand to Breaker and wishes him luck in tonight's match. But Braun Breaker nails him in the head. Breaker lines him up for the spear. But Cena pushes him into the turnbuckle and goes to hit him with an AA. But Breaker escapes to the outside. And up next, we have Dominic Mysterio versus Ilya Dragunov for the NXT Championship. We're back from break, and we're told that the Royal Rumble will be held January 27th, 2024 at Tropicana Field in St. Petersburg, Florida. I found this very odd, as the Tampa Bay fans always complain how hard it is to get to that stadium, which is why their numbers are so low for the Tampa Bay Rays baseball team. Just then we go backstage, and Tony D'Angelo and Stax are chatting with tonight's special general manager, Cody Rhodes. And they propose a tag team battle royal next week to determine the number one contender for their tag team titles. And they call this the Bada Bing, Bada Boom Battle Royal. Just then, Baron Corbin is being interviewed backstage. Corbin says Dragunov is just facing Dominic to pad his record. He says he's ducking me, and I put him down before. But then LA Knight's music hits, and he comes out as the special guest referee. Out come Rhea Ripley and Dominic Mysterio. And out comes Dragunov, and it's time for the title match. I found it comical that LA Knight refereed this entire match with his sunglasses on and Timberland boots. This was a 12-minute match during which Finn Balor came down and tried to interfere, and LA Knight clocked him on the apron. Also, McDonough ran in and Dragunov threw him into the turnbuckle, and LA Knight face planted him. And then Mommy went to hit Dragunov with her title, but then Trick Williams pulled her out by the ankle. Dragunov torpedoed Dom for the 1, 2, 3. After the match, Baron Corbin comes out, but Dijak nails Dragunov with the big boot. Dijak stares down Corbin and says, I beat you to it. He's mine. Cena and Mello are prepping backstage, and over comes Trick Williams. Cena says, don't worry, guys, you'll both be champions again. Trick Williams says, John, when did you know it was your time? And Cena says, come on, let's talk. Just then, there was a video from Anonymous that shows Paul Heyman was trying to recruit Ava Raine, The Rock's daughter, to join the Bloodline. This is, of course, because the other two members of the Schism were recently granted their release. Just then, Jade Cargill arrived. She is a recent signing from AEW. And she's welcomed by Shawn Michaels. And Shawn Michaels is really not looking good these days, folks. And up next, we have Lola Vice versus Danny Palmer as part of the Women's Breakout Tournament. But before that, we go to Baron Corbin and Cody Rhodes backstage. And Cody says, the best I can do for you, Corbin, is next week it will be you versus Dijak and the winner of the Mello and Braun Breaker match. And that person will get a shot at Dragunov for the NXT Championship. This is a 4-minute match in which Lola Vice spin kicks Palmer in the head for the win. Now remember my prediction, Lola Vice versus Kalani Jordan, and Kalani Jordan will win the tournament. We're backstage, and Chase U class is in session. Thea Hale is late, but she says JC Jane convinced her to go to class. Thea agreed as long as JC Jane can join her. Mr. Chase agrees, and he begins to discuss the origination of the Halloween Havoc event. He says it originated in 1989 by Dusty Rhodes in Philadelphia, the same city that will host WrestleMania 40 this year, and that it will be a 2-week special. Also, the same city that will be hosting the National League Championship. Now, Mr. Chase is not happy that a bunch of students are playing on their phone. However, JC Jane informs him that next week, him and Duke Hudson will be entered into the Bada Bing, Bada Boom Battle Royal. We go to the back, and Braun Breaker is preparing for his match, and Paul Heyman tells him, I've worked with your father, I've worked with your uncle, and you have the best of both, and you are the future of WWE, and I see you headlining WrestleMania, but the only person standing in your way is Carmelo Hayes. Braun Breaker says, I don't care if it's Carmelo Hayes or John Cena, I'll beat them all. Paul Heyman proceeds to call Roman Reigns. We now get the Brian Pillman Jr. vignette that we've been getting every week. He said that his dad died when he was 4 years old and he doesn't want to be associated with him at all. He's taking the name of the real man who raised him, and his name will be Lexus King. Next up, we have Carmelo Hayes versus Braun Breaker in our main event. This one goes on for 12 minutes, but Braun Breaker has Melo on the outside, and he goes for the steel steps. Cena kicks Breaker and steals the steps away, and here comes Solo Sikoa, but John Cena nails him with the steps, and they battle up the walkway area. Pretty comical moment here where you can see the referee waiting for Triple H to tell him that it's okay to continue the match. So they're back on camera, and Melo hits Braun with his knees on the outside. He rolls him into the ring, he goes to the top rope, and he hits him with that leg drop off the top rope for the 1, 2, 3. Carmelo Hayes is your winner. Just as the referee is raising Carmelo Hayes' hand, here comes a spear from Braun Breaker. And Breaker says there's only one badass in the WWE. And you know what that means. Here he comes on his motorcycle, the American Badass Undertaker. Bong! Undertaker chokeslams Braun Breaker. And while Braun Breaker is convulsing in the middle of the ring, the Undertaker stands over him and says, listen, there's always going to be someone bigger and badder right around the corner. And you, son, you've just met the baddest of them all. He helps Melo up, and that takes us into next week. And if you like this video, this recap and analysis, please like, share, comment, and subscribe.
You just met the baddest of them all.